I read a line this week by the Welsh poet Dylan Thomas, and it was, I labor by singing light, not for ambition and bread. And I was thinking, what a riveting idea, the idea of singing light, because that's what we're trying to do, right? I mean, any artistic practice, whether it's dance or music or painting or whatever, we're trying to, in that kind of metaphoric way, to sing light. And now, relevant to that, there was a great question posed by someone on the, in the community chat about being inspired or not, and painting perhaps when you're not inspired. And it's a great question because, of course, we're not singing light all the time. And there's two parts of that. Whether we're inspired to paint at all, meaning now, today, and the other, are we inspired to paint this particular scene or image now? So one piece of that, of course, is resistance, or the dance of avoidance. And we all deal with that, right? That's just kind of a given, that there's this hurdle to starting. And we've talked about that a lot. And we all need to navigate that pretty much every time we start to paint. There's things inside of us that say, oh, no, I really need to take care of all these other things first. Or, oh, that doesn't really inspire me that much. I'm not interested in painting that. I mean, they're all levels of resistance that we push up there, and hopefully we push through them, because if you let them, stop you, then the creative process is almost, it's stopped before it's begun. But the point is, every time we do push through them, we discover that you just sort of get into a flow and then you're fine. The resistance, the starting, is the hard part. Once you're in, then it's a lot easier. But the other part of that is, say, let's just take the example of going out plein air painting. I mean, I know not everybody does it, but let's just take it as an example because I think it illustrates the idea. So you're going to go out and plein air paint. And some areas, let's say for me, Provence or the coast of Maine or New Mexico, they're definitely better than others, right? The streets around me of Los Angeles don't appeal to me as much as painting Provence. And so some pull us in, inspire us more than others, and then others not so much. Often maybe where we live, it's maybe not so much. Usually it's like the best paintings happen either from a photograph or from life when something just goes, oh, will you look at that? Or when you're out taking the photograph, you say, oh, will you look at that? And I think that is part of, finding the places and the things that inspire you, the times of day, the times of year. And I've mentioned this before, and maybe the question, it's good to mention it again in light of this question, is the finding of the image takes about as much time as the painting does, maybe more. So if you don't go out, walking around, going on walks, sketching, taking photographs, getting reference material of the things that inspire you, that when you come to paint, it's like you want to cook, but there's nothing in the fridge. So I think the issue of making sure that part of your artistic practice is walking around or taking the time to find out what inspired you and to go there and get the reference so that you've got the pieces of what could inspire you. Because if, as I say, you just decide, oh, I'm going to paint this morning, and you're kind of started flat-footed of like, okay, whatever's at hand. I guess it doesn't really excite me, but I don't know. I guess I better just do this. It's way better if you've had some time to be thinking about it, finding out the things that interest you, and to have that kind of backlog of, we could say, inspired images. And then you're just overcoming resistance, of course, but you dive in. And it's way easier than just sort of starting flat-footed with something that only vaguely engages you. I mean, it's obvious on one hand, but, if you have an artistic practice, it might be worth my reminding you the importance of where the inspiration comes from and going out and finding it. photographic reference, say, or places that really inspire you at different times of the day to paint. But if you have something that really excites you and engages you, then you just have to get over the resistance that we all experience, and then you're sort of fine. You're in.